So I've been asked quite a bit by friends of mine if I think that the super ultra wide monitor I have, that giant thing right there behind me, is worth the money, and if I actually prefer it to my old triple monitor setup that I used to use. And well, thought I'd make a video over it, so yeah. So for those of you that don't know me, my name's J Rose. I make YouTube videos and I also stream over on Twitch. So my experience may be a little bit different than say someone who only plans on gaming on this monitor, but I figured I'd still give my thoughts and opinion anyway. First and foremost, this monitor is honestly amazing. The immersion you get from the full 5120 by 1440p resolution, coupled with the 1000R curve, creates a gaming experience that's unparalleled. This is especially true for first-person story-driven games and sim racing. It's almost like playing VR, just without having, strapped to your face. It's not quite as immersive as VR, of course, but in terms of screens, I feel like this is probably the best you can get for immersion. Now, there is a newer version, more expensive, called the Odyssey G9. I haven't had the chance to try it out, so I can't compare it to this one. Samsung, if you're watching, I would really love to do a review. But I would honestly have a really hard time seeing how much better the gaming experience could get even from just this one. Now, I know you might be sitting there going, well dang, this sounds amazing, I should go out and buy one immediately. And I would say yes, but, it's a really big but, this monitor is only great like that when it's actually working the way it's supposed to be working. What do I mean by this? Well, thankfully, I was lucky enough to win the panel lottery and didn't have to go through the process of having to return and replace my monitor at all. But if you do a quick search of Odyssey G9 on Reddit or YouTube, there's a lot of stories of people getting pretty unlucky in that regard and having to go through that whole annoying process. What I didn't get so lucky with though, however, is that I still technically have 3 monitors. First being the Odyssey G9 behind me. Up there I have an Acer 27-inch 1440p monitor. Inside my PC case I have a 7-inch Raspberry Pi LCD screen. And this monitor does not like playing well with others, I found out. When I first got this monitor, I was so stoked to just set it up and get into some gaming, but I definitely was not prepared for the giant headache and 2 hours of troubleshooting it took me to figure out why my display wasn't turning on and why it was causing my PC to go into an endless loop of rebooting. Well, it turns out I had to do 2 things. The first was I had to update the monitor's firmware via a USB port on the underside of the monitor, and then the second was I found out that I couldn't have all 3 of my monitors plugged in at the same time when initially booting up. I could only have the new G9 connected by itself until after the PC was done completely booting up. And now every time I shut down my computer, I have to make sure to go from the extend option to the PC screen only option. If I forget to do that and I power down while still in extend, it'll cause my PC to go into that endless loop of rebooting and rebooting and rebooting all over again when I power the PC back on until I disconnect the monitors and manually restart the computer again. The second major issue I found with this monitor is that after powering on my computer, when I extend my display, it'll cause a split down the middle. One side of the screen will look normal, but the other side seems like it has the contrast cranked all the way up. So far, I found 2 ways to fix this. The first is to go back into PC screen only and then back into extend. The second is to turn HDR on in the Windows settings and then turn it back off. But for a $1,500 monitor, it's insane to me that I have to deal with these issues every single time I shut down my computer and every single time I want to boot it back up. Besides those couple of issues, there are a few more minor issues I've had, but nothing really serious. I think the only other main gripe I have is that some games don't support the monitor's resolution and aspect ratio and will force a crop and black bars around the game. But that's not really the monitor's fault and just certain games themselves. I'm looking at you, Valorant and Elden Ring. Now, like I said before, I also stream, so majority of the time when I'm live, I don't actually play with the full monitor and have it split into separate zones using fancy zones. So essentially, I have a 27-inch 1440p monitor in the middle, and then 2 1280 by 720 zones on both opposite sides. And to get the game in the middle, I play in borderless windowed mode, and then I just use my second monitor for OBS and stream chat. Now, since the G9 is technically 2 27-inch 1440p monitors just smushed together, there is a way that you can separate them into two separate monitors via two different display port cables connected to the same computer, and then using the picture-in-picture mode on the actual monitor itself. But when you do this, it lowers the refresh rate down to 120 Hz, and I prefer keeping the 240 Hz. So yeah, in conclusion, honestly, I love the Odyssey G9 when it's working. And when it's not working, I still love it, but at the same time, I feel like throwing it out of the window. If you're looking for a monitor to give you a crazy gaming experience, I highly recommend the G9 since you can't get much better than this in my opinion. But it does have its downsides and faults, which for the expensive price tag, I feel it shouldn't have any of the major issues that it does have. But with enough Googling and patience, you should be able to find a solution. Although I probably wouldn't recommend this monitor for anyone that's looking for a flawless, easy experience straight out of the box. Majority of my issues though stem from having multiple monitors and issues related to properly trying to capture gameplay while using fancy zones while streaming. If you're not like me and don't plan on fitting into either of those categories though, who knows, maybe your experience will be a lot better. Hopefully you enjoyed the video and maybe some of you even found it useful. If you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. It really helps me out a lot. Also, this is my first review style video, so if you have any tips or tricks or any advice, make sure to leave it down in the comments. I would really appreciate it. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.